Hello, I'm Joe. Welcome to another edition of the Red Pill series. Today's topic focuses on the first chapter of my debut book, The Red Pill Book, the chapter title being Get to Know Yourself. You know, sometimes in life we find ourselves in a situation where you think you know someone really well and believe they have a pretty good moral compass and would never screw you, good friend, etc. So we trust them, say with a large amount of money. And surprise, surprise, that wonderful friend you thought you had turns into a robbing, betraying piece of crap and steals all your money away. You're left thinking, wow, I thought I knew that person, but I so didn't. Many of us, including me, have experienced such a revelation. By the same token, many of us think we know ourselves, but we don't. A situation arises where you need to step up and defend or help someone close to you, and you pussy out. Or the opposite. You think you're a pussy, but in a moment of crisis, you step up. In life, a lot of people think self-loathing thoughts have self-esteem issues, or they're always trumping themselves up because they're actually insecure. We're all people, all different personalities, and that's great. That's what makes the world go round. Very few people are quiet-minded, self-assured, confident, positive types, comfortable with who they are, and fully enlightened as to who they are. A lot of people are swept up in the toils of daily living to the point where they never stop and ask the questions, what is it that makes me happy? What kind of personality do I have? How do other people view me? Self-analysis is an uncomfortable task for most of us because we discover a lot of stuff that maybe we don't want to look at. Hardly anyone says, yeah, I've done some self-analysis and I'm a total asshole that treats people shitty, but I'm good with that. To the contrary, it's usually more like, I'm a good person, I know what's going down, but everyone else, they're a bunch of freaking idiots. The thing about setting goals and finding your purpose and passion in life, you need to know yourself first. Who are you really? Ask yourself this question honestly. Until you know who you are for real, you can't come to terms with where it is you belong. Much of what drives our behavior of how we perceive ourselves is the result of preconditioned subconscious attitudes and beliefs. It's important to go deep within in order to figure out how we truly see ourselves on a subconscious level. Once you've had the courage to put yourself in the crosshairs and do a deep, honest, eye-opening self-analysis of who you are, your tendencies, strengths, weaknesses, good and bad habits, what is your true character and personality type, we can then get clear on why we're here, what is truly important to us, and exactly what we want to accomplish in life. For many of us, when we start digging around with the questions such as, who am I? What is it that makes me think the way I do? Why do I react to things the way I do? We dig up a lot of negative stuff. It's for that reason many people don't want to go there. The fact is, we all have issues. It's part of being human. You need to have the courage to go deep within and examine all your strengths and weaknesses and develop a strategy from where you can improve. When asking yourself the question, who am I? What is it in life that will truly make me happy and define my definite purpose? Think to yourself, what would you be if you knew? 1. All obstructions in your way would be removed. 2. All the cooperation you need will magically materialize. And 3. You could not possibly fail. If you were on a date or a job interview, how in a minute or less would you describe yourself? Strengths and weaknesses. Ask the question, what matters to you? What are your core values? Define exactly what values are most important to you. Once you've defined your core values, ask yourself, what is it that will make you truly happy? And finally, ask yourself, how would your life be different if money was no object? Where and how would you live? What would your home look like? A penthouse in the city, a ranch in the country. Are you a generous person? Are you a selfish person? Are you a complete asshole that nobody likes? Are you too conservative? Are you too scattered, trying too many things at once, not focusing on any one thing long enough to make any progress? Do you procrastinate? In Poker Pro Phil Hellmuth's Master of Poker series, he uses animals to explain the character traits of the different types of people you might see at the gambling tables. Here is his interpretation, and although he's talking about character traits and how they relate to the gambling at the poker tables, these character traits are observed in a way many people live and approach their daily lives. First, we have the mouse. The mouse is an ultra-conservative player who always plays very strict starting hand requirements. The mouse will bet, but rarely ever raises a bet or re-raises. The mouse almost never bluffs. If a mouse actually does raise or re-raise, it probably means that they have an almost unbeatable hand. The problem with the mouse is that he is too cautious and scared to take any risks. He is too predictable and will win some small pots, have some successes, but never get the big payouts. Next, we have the jackal. This type of player plays a lot of cards and bets and raises very recklessly. He is the direct opposite of the mouse. The jackal's chip stack often resembles a roller coaster ride, as it will climb when he has great cards and then crashes and burns back to near nothing when he has a string of bad cards. They play loose and bluff with trash hands. They have the potential to win some big pots, but will never keep them because of their reckless play. Next, we have the elephant. The elephant is what most poker players refer to as a calling station. The elephant has loose starting hand requirements, and so he plays a lot of pots. As a result, they end up in a lot of hands that he or she has no chance of winning. The elephant is content to call their hand to the river even when common sense tells them they're beat. Trying out almost every opportunity that crosses their path, the elephant can't get ahead because they're all over the place with too many dance partners and not enough focus on a winning hand strategy. Lastly, we have the lion. After Phil gives the rundown of the mouse, jackal, and elephant, he explains that in poker, as would be in life, the lion is the most successful because he combines the restraint and cautious play of the mouse with the risk-taking traits of the jackal, but calculated risks as opposed to reckless ones. He takes his time to pick the profitable opportunities following a carefully charted strategy for success. In life, we need to be like the lion. You can't stay stuck at the starting gate, too scared of your own shadow to take risks and get out there. But you've got to be smart and calculated, not reckless in your risk-taking. The lion's world does not entertain the time wasting that the elephant involves themselves in by chasing every opportunity with resources too stretched out to realize any one of them to a big payout. So yes, folks, we need to strive to be like the lion. And because we're all so different, everyone's strategy may vary. Next, let's take a look at self-esteem. We are always growing and changing based on our personalities and life experiences. Let's take a look at your level of self-esteem. Self-esteem is a big one. The truth is, we're all fragile, and millions of people are subject to thoughts of anxiety, self-loathing, and thoughts of not being good enough. It's been said it takes 10 to 15 compliments to counterbalance one single negative put-down. Let's start by examining your childhood, the time when our entire negative neural pathways and destructive paradigms were first established. These paradigms drive our behavior, self-perception, attitudes, and beliefs. How were you treated? Were you repressed by the classic "children are to be seen and not heard"? How are you treated by your parents and people in your environment? Were you treated respectfully and listened to, or disrespectfully and harshly criticized? Do you feel your emotional needs were given proper attention and nurturing, or do you feel they were neglected? Were your accomplishments recognized or kicked to the side like you never achieved anything worthy of acknowledgement? Do you have any memories of suffering any mental, verbal, or physical abuse? The most important relationship in your life is the relationship that you have with yourself. Starting with the relationship you have with yourself is the foundation from which all your other relationships are built and are the driving force in your choices and behaviors. What would you see if you were to jump out of your body and look back down at yourself? What is your confidence level? How do you think others view you? What does your inner voice say to you? Your inner voice is either telling you good things about yourself or bad things about yourself. People with healthy self-esteem will hear the voice that reassures them, telling that they're good to go, and whatever the challenge, you've got this. On the other side of the spectrum, people with low self-esteem will hear the more critical, give it up, you're not worthy or good enough, self-loathing inner voice. Examine if you have low or healthy self-esteem. A person with healthy self-esteem believes that he or she is worthy. They don't overthink or analyze things, beating themselves up for the small shortcomings, which comes part and parcel with every human experience. They generally keep an upbeat and positive, good feeling about themselves and are pleasant to be around. They exhibit high levels of competency and a skill set to succeed in life. Alternatively, a person with low self-esteem often delves into the pits of negative outlook and self-analysis of I'm no good, I'm not worthy, and constantly seeks out other people's approval. Like people with healthy self-esteem, they want to be successful but subconsciously sabotage themselves by holding lower expectations, judging things harshly, and avoiding risk. If you feel you're a person of low self-esteem, then you may want to turn this around and systematically replace the I'm not good enough mentality with healing doses of self-acceptance. It takes more than speaking positive affirmations aloud to deal with more extreme cases of low self-esteem. You should get more in depth and seek out one-on-one help with a professional who can identify what is unique about your condition of low self-esteem and how to strategize the process towards healthy self-esteem for yourself. Seek counseling with a cognitive behavioral therapist, CBT professional. So we looked at the poker player personality types. Let's get more in depth with the question, what is your personality type? Let's start with what is known as the Big Five personality traits. Big Five, number 1. Extroversion. Folks that are extroverts are excited, assertive, highly expressive, somewhat in-your-face type of people. They are high-energy individuals. They are enthusiastic and like to drive the action. Big Five trait number 2. Agreeableness. The first thing that comes to mind with this phrase is yes man or woman, which implies someone who agrees and says yes to everything in a kiss-ass fashion, forfeiting their own identity to be a faithful lapdog/human doormat. But agreeableness can actually be a wise and strong character asset. This character trait can be pro-social, affectionate, helpful, generous, kind, trusting, and most of all, able to compromise and not be too rigid in their agenda or beliefs. Agreeable folks choose to have an optimistic view of human nature. Third, we have conscientiousness. People with this trait favor planned over spontaneous behavior. They're high-level thinkers, organized, and pay attention to the details. They are goal-oriented and do not play prey to their impulses. At 4, we have neuroticism. These can be very dynamic individuals, but often can be observed as insecure and emotionally unstable. They can be emotionally reactive, high anxiety, and not handle stress well, with the negative Nelly, Wendy Weiner interpretation of ordinary situations as potentially disastrous, and minor difficulties as insurmountable tasks. Lastly, at 5, we have open to experience. These folks can be thought of as a bit wacko, in that they tend to hold unconventional beliefs. They tend to be adventurous, willing to take a risk, have many interests, and they are both insightful and imaginative. The best way to see where you fit in the Big 5 personality traits is to go onto the internet and take an online Big 5 personality test. I encourage you to do some research and find which personality tests you prefer, and then participate in 2 or 3 online tests. The key to getting back the information that you need for self-analysis is that you must answer all the questions honestly. There are many good personality tests to be found online. I would suggest starting with Myers-Briggs, which can be found at myersandbriggs.org, and go from there. This wraps this edition of the Red Pill series. I thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe or leave a comment below. And if you're interested in purchasing the book, there's a link below as well.